Ever think about, like, what it actually takes to build a skyscraper?
Or,
Or, like, those massive wind turbines you see?
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's easy to overlook where those raw materials come from.
And that's what we're digging into today, Quarry Engineering. We've got RoleCatcher's career guide to help us out.
And they've got this whole AI platform for job hunting, too. We'll get into that later, but
Yeah, that's, like, next level stuff. But first, Quarry Engineering. Not exactly the first thing that pops into your head when you think dream job, right?
right, right.
But maybe it should be.
Well, what I find fascinating is it's not just about digging and blasting, though. I mean, that's definitely part of it.
Of course. Gotta have some explosions.
It's more about, it's like the whole life cycle of a project you have to get.
Right.
From the very beginning, seeing if the site's even viable, to actually getting the resources out responsibly.
So it's strategic. Like, you got to be able to see the big picture.
Oh, absolutely.
The guide even mentioned, like, analyzing if a quarry will even be profitable. What goes into that?
It's a lot,
Yeah.
honestly. You've got the type of materials there, how good they are, what the environmental impact of getting them out will be. Then there's market demand. Do people even need this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And then just the logistics. How do you even move those materials? It's a whole dot balancing act, really. Geology, engineering, economics, even environmental sciences in the mix.
Wow, that's intense. It's like not just knowing how to blow stuff up, but if you should blow it up.
Right, exactly.
And what that'll do to everything around it. And speaking of, the guide was really big on how important sustainability is in this field now.
Oh, yeah. Huge. You can't ignore the environmental side anymore, right? So these quarry engineers are having to figure out how to get what we need with as little damage as possible.
Which, when you think about it, affects every single one of us. We all need these resources, but...
We also need a planet left to live on, right?
Exactly. So it's this delicate balance that they're right in the middle of.
Which is where the whole sustainable practices thing comes in. New blasting techniques, so there's less vibration, dust,
Yeah.
managing water runoff so you don't contaminate anything.
Makes sense. Protecting those groundwater supplies. And then what? Like reclamation afterward?
Yeah, trying to restore the site as much as possible. It's a whole thing. It's really impressive when you dig into it, no pun intended.
Well, maybe a little intended. But point is, it's not just blowing stuff up anymore. It's this whole complex field. And they got to be thinking long term, too, not just what's right in front of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Big picture stuff.
So we've got this career path then. It's demanding for sure, but also seems like it'd be really rewarding if you're the right kind of person.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Not for everyone, but if you're up for the challenge.
Right, exactly. So let's get into that. What would you say are some of those like must-have skills to really succeed in quarry engineering? So we've got this career path then. It's demanding for sure, but also seems like it'd be really rewarding if you're the right kind of person.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Not for everyone, but if you're up for the challenge.
Right, exactly. So let's get into that. What would you say are some of those like must-have skills to really succeed in quarry engineering?
Well, one thing that stuck out of the guy that had reading comprehension ranked really high.
Really? That's not the first thing that comes to mind, I guess.
Right. You think, like, hands-on technical stuff, but
Explosions.
yeah, explosions, all that. But think about it. You're always looking at reports, right? Regulations are changing all the time, new research
So you got to stay updated.
constantly, which honestly, for someone like our listener who loves learning, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, keeps things interesting. But it's not just staying informed, right? You got to be able to make decisions based on all that info.
Oh, for sure.
Hmm.
And the guide called that out too. Judgment and decision making. They said it was key.
Which, knowing what we know now, makes sense. These aren't small choices they're making.
Nope, not at all. You're talking safety, environmental impact, even if the whole project makes money or goes bust.
High stakes.
Huge. And often they have to decide with like incomplete information or under time pressure.
So you got to think on your feet.
Exactly. That's where experience comes in, obviously. But also being able to analyze a situation, problem solve, that's critical.
Oh, okay. So for someone who's drawn to that, like, high pressure, high impact environment, quarry engineering might be a good fit.
Yeah.
But how do you even break into this field? It seems pretty specialized.
It can be, yeah. But the guide actually talked about internships or even entry-level positions. Get your foot in the door.
Right, get some experience. But those jobs are probably super competitive too.
They are, yeah. Which is where this RoleCatcher platform is kind of cool. They use AI, right, to actually analyze job descriptions
Oh, interesting.
and then help you tweak your resume, your application, so you're highlighting the right skills, the stuff those employers are looking for.
So it's like a secret weapon for getting past those, what are they called? Applicant tracking systems.
Exactly. Those things are brutal. I mean,
Right.
you can be perfect for the job, but if your resume doesn't have the magic words,
You're toast.
done, gone. And that's what RoleCatcher seems to be tackling, making sure the right people get seen, even with all this automation happening.
Which, for someone starting out, could be huge. It's like that extra boost of confidence,
Yeah.
instead of feeling lost in the shuffle.
Totally. But it's not just about getting the job, right? You had to be able to do the job. And one thing the guide mentioned, even for entry-level folks, management of personnel resources.
Interesting. So even if you're not the boss yet,
Right. You're still part of a team. You've got surveyors, geologists, the blasting crews, people operating heavy equipment,
a mix of folks.
and you got to be able to communicate with all of them effectively. Get your point across no matter what background someone comes from.
So those people skills, they're not just a nice to have, they're essential.
Absolutely. And as you move up, maybe into project management or something, those skills just get more and more important.
Makes sense. Leading teams, managing budgets, all that. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the demanding parts of this job, the pressure, all the learning you got to do, making those tough decisions.
Right. It's not easy.
But the guide also mentions something that I bet will catch our listeners' attention, high earning potential. But the guide also mentions something that I bet will catch our listeners' attention, high earning potential.
Yeah, you definitely get rewarded for all that hard work. It's not just about the money, though.
Right, right. Our listeners all about impact. Knowing the work actually matters.
Oh, absolutely. And the guide touched on something kind of cool there, talking about how quarry engineering plays into like infrastructure development.
Okay, so most people hear that and they're thinking roads, bridges.
The essential stuff, yeah.
Exactly.
But here's where it gets interesting. Think about the stuff we need for renewable energy.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
Wind turbines, those are huge EE.
Massive. And all that concrete for those bases.
Exactly. And solar farms. They might not be as tall, but they cover a lot of ground. And what about hydroelectric dams? All that needs raw materials.
Which that come from quarries.
Bingo. So you're not just talking about building the world as IS, you're talking about building a more sustainable future.
Whoa, that's a cool way to look at it. I never would have made that connection.
That's a big deal. And for someone who, wants to make a difference, like our listener.
That's a huge motivator for sure.
Huge.
So it's not just about digging a hole. It's way bigger than that.
Exactly. It's about how we meet those growing needs, but do it responsibly. Using technology in smart ways, thinking long term, it's a whole puzzle.
A puzzle with global implications.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've really dug into quarry engineering here, seen the challenges, what you get out of it, how it ties into the fate of the planet even. Any final thoughts for someone listening who might be thinking, hey, maybe this is my path?
I'd say if you like using your brain A&D, getting your hands dirty, figuratively at least, quarry engineering is worth looking into. And seriously, check out RoleCatcher. They've got that free career guide, and all the details are there. See if it clicks for you.
It sounds like it's a career where you can really dig in, pun intended this time.
Uh-huh. I was waiting for it.
Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive. We unearthed some pretty awesome stuff.
It was my pleasure. Always fun to explore these lesser-known career paths.
And for our listeners, knowledge is power. So head on over to RoleCatcher, grab that free guide, and see where this new path might take you. Until next time, keep those brains engaged. We'll catch you on the flip side of curiosity.